Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for attending the EEC Equity Empowerment Commission. We have two presentations today, so we are excited about listening to that tonight. Also, we're calling the meeting into order. We do not have quorum, however, one of our members will be here, so we will have quorum if we did need to vote on something with you guys moving forward. Also, the meeting is going to start at 6:04. February the 19th, 2026. My brain, I had a root canal, so. Okay, so all in favor of starting? Yeah, do roll call. So roll call, we have Commissioner Radcliffe,
Here.
Co-Chair Jones,
Present. Present.
and we also have Tashik Kerr, who is going to be our assistant. I always like to acknowledge you.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. And we do have Shannon Saxton that'll be here shortly. Other commissioners have other responsibilities, but we will have quorum shortly. Thank you so much. So tonight we're receiving the presentations, two presentations, like I said, and I just want to acknowledge the work that has already been done on the investigation and the waste station and the document of these disparities. This commission respects the time, research, and community engagement that went into these reports and all the hard work that you guys have done, and I just want to acknowledge that before we start. Looking at the agenda, we will need a motion to approve the minutes for January the 15th, and a second.
I move that we approve the January 15th minutes as stated. Wait, we can't do that because we don't have
No,
quorum.
so we don't have a quorum, so we
We have to
won't.
table that.
So what we're going to do is go straight to public comment.
Is there anyone for public comment?
Okay, so presentation of
No, is there anyone for public comment?
anyone for public comment?
Glad to be here.
Yeah. So, no, we don't have anyone online for public comment?
No, just city staff and the consultant.
Okay, so we just have our presentations here today. So presentation of the Environment Equity Investigation, we can start with that. And hello and welcome.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me today. My name is Brett Weidel. I'm a landscape architect and principal at a consulting firm called MKSK. We were consulted by the city a little over a year ago now to work with the community and the city together on the Evanston Environmental Equity Investigation. I do have a slideshow here that I would love to share. Do you know if it's possible for me to share my screen?
Yes. Give me 1 second. Let me see. You should be able to do that. No, you should be able to share your screen. See if you can share it. I don't see anything. Stop.
Don't see an option anywhere.
Okay. Try now.
Oh,
Can you try now?
oh, and maybe you can see me. Let's see. Share, yes. All right, can you see that?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, just kind of getting my screens together here. Thank you for your patience. Let's see if I can make this full screen for you. There we go. All right. Well, yeah, and thank you for your patience too, because I know that we were hoping to join you all in a previous meeting, and it just didn't work out from a schedule perspective that evening. But we are excited to be here back with you this evening to talk about this impactful plan. Some of you might have seen the City Council presentation we made back in January where we shared this, so some of this might be repeat, but also, if you weren't able to attend that, I think this will be a good overview of the project and the process and where we've come to today. And I'm happy to answer questions as well towards the end. Just a quick overview of our team. So the city hired MKSK as a prime consultant on the project to lead with urban planning and landscape architecture. So I was the project principal in charge on the project. Sarah Lilly was the project manager with me. We also had a team of incredibly talented sub-consultants working with us from CDTA, Added Dimension, and Revitalized Communities. Each of these sub-consultants provided very specialized experience in their area of expertise. So everything from redevelopment strategies and housing, to transportation planning, to environmental justice. But I think the thing that all of our consultants had in common, and including MKSK, is that we're incredibly dedicated to community engagement through this process, and realized from the beginning of the project that this was going to be a very community-oriented planning effort. And so that is how we sort of put together the premise for this investigation. Really, what we were trying to do is investigate further through the city of Evanston, what are some of the current and past policies, practices, and priorities that have perpetuated unequal burdens and barriers to opportunities across Evanston, both today, but also in the past, and sort of uncovering what some of those generational disparities have been. So the goal, and we sort of, as a group, with the leadership team, and I should mention the leadership team because we had an incredible group of both community members and individuals from allied organizations throughout the city of Evanston who all came together with us at several moments throughout the investigation process to really help guide this planning effort. And so without their help, it would have been a very different process, but they were able to really guide this process with their knowledge and with their understanding of the key issues within the city. Through that leadership group, we had regular meetings, and we sort of established the shared definition of what is environmental equity, making sure that all people in Evanston have the same opportunities for health and prosperity without unfair disadvantages from physical, economic, or social structures. So having that shared definition helped us kind of rally together on, what we felt was not just within the city and where we wanted to move the needle towards equity into the future. Once we had that definition sort of clarified amongst us, we developed a schedule for the project in which we would get out into the community and sort of work through the investigation together with them. So we divided into 4 sections. The first section, we were really listening actively, asking a ton of questions, defining injustices together. Basically, it was a lot of conversations, a lot of getting out there. We had pop-up events throughout the city where we talked to community members. We had public engagement workshops. We had focus groups. So a lot of dialogue and a lot of listening. That listening didn't really stop through the process. We continued that through. But as we went through the process and had more meetings and more discussion, we were able to start to document what we heard from the community, interpreting the information, highlighting trends that we were seeing, strategize together with the community to determine causes for the issues that we were seeing, and then exploring solutions together with sort of the end result at our last community meeting, really sharing out those findings, exploring some of the action steps that we thought would start to move the needle towards greater equity, and most importantly, empower both the community and the city to work together with allied organizations and individual residents to make change into the future. So once we started moving through this process and did a little bit more of our own analysis, we were able to determine a little bit more when you're looking at the city of Evanston, what might be some of the focus areas there. There are certainly areas within the city that have seen more disparities than others, and that was really important to understand. And so how did we determine this? We looked at a couple of different figures. We used a lot of analysis from previous planning efforts done through the city. We looked at census data that was available to us and a lot of other resources to start to overlay different factors. So household income, where are the lowest household incomes within the city? Where are the lowest life expectancy rates within the city? So maybe places where people are seeing more health concerns, or issues like that. And then also over time, where have we seen the greatest racial segregation within the city? When you start to overlay all those layers, we started to see a common thread of these specific areas, most predominantly the 5th Ward, the 2nd Ward, the 8th Ward, and the 9th Ward. That's where we are seeing the most systemic disadvantages within the city. And that really helped us to start framing the conversation a little bit more around where we needed to focus our efforts, specifically when it came to those community conversations. So I think I already kind of went through this, but this is just kind of a listing of all of the moments we were able to interact with the community. It was quite a robust process and really quality. There was quantity there for sure, but I would say quality was sort of at the heart of this because we were able to sit around tables. We were able to, get round table conversations together, talk with family members when they were just out at events and just really uncover these issues together. This is a high level snapshot of that engagement process. Quantity of people that sort of attended these events. And then also at every event that we had, we tried to have a map up and people could, put a pin or a sticker on the map to show us where do you live within the city. And so this heat map sort of shows the distribution of individual community members, where they lived in relation to the focus areas. So we felt pretty good about the distribution that we received in terms of who came out for these meetings. And we're glad that, people from all over the city came out. It wasn't just people in the focus areas either. So we got great perspectives. Once we started to hear from community members, we heard some common themes that were addressed. So we started to put those into different thematic categories: open space, parks and trees, streets and transportation, housing and development, and community services, just to sort of organize the feedback that we were getting. And we wanted to really understand, what would be within the realm of control of the city, because a lot of things are within the realm of control of the city in terms of their policies and priorities. But there might also be areas outside of their control, but they have influence over them, or maybe the community has influence over some of these things, and control over other things. So that was what was going to get to the heart of what these actions would be at the end of the study. So those actions would take the form of projects, policies, and programs that could really start to move the needle of equity. And then we started to identify who could be the change makers, who would have control over those implementation steps and those outcomes. And also, how could the actions vary in scale, complexity, impact, and cost well into the future? So that was sort of a goal of ours to kind of get to the bottom of that through this investigation. We do have a full report that's out now. It should be available online. We will double check that, but this report, it's pretty dense. There's a lot of background information in the document, which we thought would be really important for community education, because if you live on one end of the city that maybe hasn't dealt with some of this disparity over the years, you may not be aware of how a community member on the other side of the city has dealt with things over the years. And so really unpacking that from a historical perspective was really important for us in this final document. So it's a great educational tool. It provides that transparency about the process itself. It clarifies the community's commitment to environmental equity, uses storytelling to sort of share what some of these issues are through the lens of the community members who have experienced them firsthand. And then it builds this a shared understanding among the stakeholders and partners for how we want to move the ball forward into the future. And then lastly, of course, it provides that guidance for action and implementation as well. I won't go through all of these because it's a lot of, basically it's all the actions that we came up with through this process, which are very dense, and they're sort of at the end of the document here. But maybe just a couple of these general recommendations, which I feel like are really fundamental to how we framed some of this, is that, the focus areas can be utilized moving into the future as, focus green zones into the future. Like when we start to identify priorities for the city, where to put their resources, we could identify these focus areas as a higher priority. So a really good example is tree canopy. When a tree falls down and you want a replacement, you get put on a list. Sometimes you just get put on the bottom of that list and you have to wait until it's your turn to get a new tree. Well, we've identified, that these focus areas could be green zones that maybe we start to prioritize residents that live in those areas. And, if they need a tree, maybe their name goes, at the top of the list when they need a tree. So really providing justice for these areas. And that's just one example. But I hope it sort of communicates that idea. Really starting to integrate racial and environmental equity into policy and capital planning. Developing an environmental justice tracking dashboard. I know that there's a great scorecard that this committee is developing. I've seen that one. This is also another tool that can be developed in tandem with a lot of the great work that's already happening to really track environmental justice. Look at those metrics, which if you see in our full report, there is sort of a guide for what metrics to track over time to make sure that we are keeping tabs on this and we are moving the ball forward, and we can look back in 5 years and hopefully see meaningful change. Continuing to host environmental justice education and training programs, and actively engage with and empower underrepresented groups to improve procedural equity when it comes to decision making. And the work that you all are doing is such an important part of that. We have action steps in the 4 categories that I mentioned previously. So open space, parks and trees, streets and transportation, housing and development, and community services. Like I said, it's pretty dense, so I won't go through everything, but welcome you all to take a greater read through the larger document and reflect on some of the great work that's in there and things that can be complementary in terms of the work that you're all doing, but then that other groups are doing as well to move the ball forward. So within that implementation matrix, we identify the change makers, who should be leading certain actions. What are maybe the allied groups that could be partners with those efforts? So what is the alignment of those actions? So are there other existing plans, studies, or initiatives that are already reinforcing a certain action that, maybe it makes sense for your group to align with another, outside group that's already working towards something just to get more momentum?
Me. I just want to give you a 2-minute reminder just to coming up.
Oh, great.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm just about done here. Lastly, time frame. We want to think through this about, short term, midterm, long term, being realistic with how long it takes to achieve certain actions. And then, as I mentioned before, metrics, what data can be tracked to measure progress towards the actions into the future. And lastly here, I think the biggest thing that came out of this was a shared understanding that there are some great groups in Evanston doing this work today, whether philanthropic, governmental, private, community advocacy organizations. And the idea being that Evanston can create a justice coalition, sort of an umbrella group that can start to unify all of these efforts together and create more meaningful change around equity. So I'll just pause there. I know we're at time probably and want to make sure we can answer any questions. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much. We appreciate all of the effort, like we said earlier, with this report, and we will definitely go through it. And just you coming back and presenting this is very important. The findings are important, and I'd like to focus our discussion on implementation, alignment, and the next steps. Just to clarify, of all the findings in your report, what is the most urgent structural issue to address?
Well, that's a good question. To me, it's this idea of the coalition. I think that was pretty pivotal when our leadership team came to the conclusion that there are so many groups doing this great work, but they may be doing it a little bit in isolation from one another. There may be concurrent efforts happening in different places that if they are joined together under this umbrella coalition, they can have an even greater impact. So that to me seems like a very short-term win, that if these groups can start to come together under a coalition, they can just ramp up their momentum to see greater change happen into the future. There's already such a wonderful basis for this work in Evanston. Getting to know these groups has been such an amazing experience, but I think, when you leverage that power together, it's really going to have some great meaningful impact. So definite short-term win can come out of that.
Also, if no changes are made in the next 2 to 3 years, what are the likely consequences for impacted communities?
Really good question. I think one thing we noted through this process is that Evanston is on the forefront of this work, even nationally. It's a very progressive community. There are a lot of great conversations being had that are really important, really critical, really introspective. So I applaud the city and I applaud the community for standing up and bringing these issues to a head and having these difficult conversations. It's not easy work. And I think that work will continue to happen as it has, sort of in isolation from each other. I think if we don't form the coalition, it's going to continue at the same pace that it has been, probably in the past 2 to 5 years, which has been good if you look at it, at a national level. But can it happen faster? Can it happen more meaningfully if these groups sort of band together? Yes, I think so. I think we can see a greater impact and greater benefits to these focus area communities if that momentum can be achieved by this coalition.
Thank you. And lastly, for me, where do you see the Equity and Empowerment Commission having the most influence with partnering with you guys, and what specifically are you asking of this commission?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think to be an active partner in this coalition, there's great community members who are very actively involved. I see a couple in the audience when the camera panned over real quickly. But I know that from the city perspective, your role is so critical in bringing community perspectives directly to the city and having that very direct impact. So I think you all play a very important connective role between the community groups that are doing this work, the advocacy groups that are doing this work, and the city. I think you're sort of like in the middle there and can play a very key connective role within this coalition. So definitely hope that there's a way for that coalition to maybe come and present in front of this committee, or you're able to connect. Our role as a consultant is very much winding down. Our contract is complete at this point, so we'll be kind of stepping out, and I hope the coalition can step in where we leave off, and then you all can be very involved in that effort as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And environmental equity is connected to health, housing, stability, infrastructure, and long-term generational outcomes in Evanston. And this commission is serious about moving the conversation forward to have measurable changes. The commission has an opportunity to help shape that process in a structural and collaborative way. So thank you so much, and we look forward to having further discussions moving forward. Thank you.
Yeah, well, and thank you all so much for your great work. Like I said, this has been such a meaningful effort of ours to come alongside the community and you all, and we've been very inspired by this community and by the city, so thank you very much for having us today.
Thank you. Commissioners, any other commissioners have any questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you again.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you so much for that. Excuse me. Okay, moving forward down the agenda, our next presentation will be Climate Action Evanston representation. Oh, it's my throat. So moving forward, we are moving to the next presentation, on Climate Action Evanston presentation.
We're really Environmental Justice Evanston, and we're
Okay.
under the umbrella
Of them.
of Kathy Wright.
Okay, that's fine. Then environmental justice, yes, of Evanston. Okay, so that's our next presentation. And Tashik is pulling it up, so you guys can feel free to get prepared. Thank you.
Any idea where we could both speak through the mic, or, okay. Well, we're gonna share.
That's cool. That's good.
Okay, hi, I'm Janet Alexander Davis, I'm co-chair with, with Jerry Gall. Okay. And we are Environmental Justice Evanston. Under the umbrella of Climate Action Evanston, there's about 6 different groups that do different things. So those coalition ideas, that's really, I think, where I hope we all go, so that we have the strength of a lot of people, because that's the only way we ever are listened to, in my opinion, in Evanston.
That's true.
So we're going to do this together. The work of the equity. Okay. Oh, okay.
That way we can be able to see it, so just, you'll have your time. We just want to make sure.
Can you
that
lift it up?
can
Okay.
follow along with you.
All right, then hit me with your.
But I appreciate the enthusiasm.
Okay.
Here we go.
So, can you hear me? The work of the Equity and Empowerment Commission and the work of Environmental Justice Evanston overlap and are mutually supportive in many ways. EJE, Environmental Justice Evanston, was originally established in 2014 by the City of Evanston as a subcommittee of the Environment Board. EJE was eventually established as an independent program within the 501c3 nonprofit Climate Action Evanston, which has allowed us to apply for and receive grant funding. EJE retains close ties to the Environmental Board and are now a participating partner of the broader Evanston EJ Coalition, which is kind of what Brett is talking about, and you'll know a little bit better when we get through whatever we're saying. Am I on the right page? Help. So, speaking of the coalition, the Evanston EJ Coalition is co-chaired by Evanston Cradle to Career and Climate Action Evanston. It currently includes the following organizations, and I hope you become one of them. Climate Action Evanston, Connections for the Homeless, Environmental Justice Evanston, Evanston Cradle to Career, Interfaith Action Evanston, League of Women Voters, NAACP Evanston North Shore, Cordro Tenants Union, I'm not saying that right, YWCA Evanston North Shore, and many others.
So an early accomplishment of Environmental Justice Evanston was drafting the EJ resolution, which we worked on for years. It was finally adopted by City Council in 2020. And while it has not yet been fully implemented, the resolution set the stage for the environmental equity investigation. The resolution, as all resolutions do, starts with a set of critical acknowledgments, important of which is the unequal distribution of environmental assets, environmental hazards, and health risks in Evanston. Section 3 of the resolution, and I think, Josephine, you provided copies of or Tashik, you have a copy of the resolution. Section 3 of the resolution underscores the importance of public engagement, and I think Brett really spoke to that. The City of Evanston is committed to meaningful and inclusive public engagement, where decision makers have more complete information to understand the potential impact a project or program could have, especially on an underserved community, where decisions are more implementable and sustainable. They're perceived as more legitimate and fair, and decision makers become better communicators in regards to residents and communities whose voices are underrepresented in public processes. So, do you want to take this one?
You want to keep going?
Sure. The City of Evanston, Section 4 talks about the core goal of the city's own practices and programs and policies. And one of the core goals of the EJ resolution, as well as one of the core goals of the environmental equity investigation, and I think this commission's equity scorecard, was to really look back at how the city does its business and ensure that the equity is considered when decisions are made. So I think this is a common, we have this in common. We're really pushing for this. It says that the City of Evanston will incorporate environmental justice into ordinances, codes, policies, and processes, including review of existing codes, which will be conducted with appropriate revisions to bolster and improve outcomes. So the work will be done, this is written in the resolution, in consultation with Environmental Justice Evanston, the Evanston Environment Board, the Equity and Empowerment Commission, relevant city departments, and other community organizations.
What I've never understood is if even aldermen, other than the ones that voted for the resolution in September of 2020, you know, when new aldermen came in, or council members that they are called now, I don't know if they understood the responsibility that this particular document in 2020 meant. There were things that were supposed to be done, like Equity and Empowerment Commission would do. What we don't get here, in my opinion, is citizens in a respectful way that I think that we can do comments differently than the way we do it. And we need a real public policy so that maybe when we come before the city council and there's 150 people in the room because they all want to talk about the Harley Clark house for the umpteenth time, even though over the weekend we had somebody shot and killed. And so this committee was supposed to, and that wasn't you guys, but they were supposed to do a public participation in a way that I think it needs to change. We've been doing it the same way for 50 years. So, okay. The public engagement policy, that one? Oh, okay. Responsibility for the EJ resolution commitment to develop a public engagement policy included the E&E Commission as well as the public process. The EEC presented a draft in September of 2023, but it has not been the subject of a public meeting and has not yet been finalized. This is what we're told.
And this is the section in the resolution that says that the Equity and Empowerment Commission has this responsibility. So moving on, we're talking about now we're at the equity, environmental equity investigation. Brett did a great job of explaining this to you, and also really broadening the definition of environmental equity. And she covered that as well. All people have the same opportunities. That's actually the next slide. Have the same opportunities for health and prosperity without unfair disadvantages from physical, economic, or social structures. And I think it's really important that you take a look at environmental equity. Some people think environmental justice or environmental equity just has to do with, clean water or clean air and it's kind of a regulatory approach, but it really is, it relates to the whole system that people live in. And this next slide shows it's a page from the environmental equity investigation that I took from my camera, so it's really hard to read, I'm sorry. But it shows that all the systemic segregation issues about fewer trees and longer commute times and higher transportation costs, predatory lending, exclusion from intergenerational wealth, the whole reparations issue is really part of environmental equity. Climate change, of course, asthma, higher utility costs, flooding, heart disease, cancer, infant mortality that relate to pollution and climate change. And then, of course, gentrification, the rising cost of living, loss of community and culture, and displacement. So the equity lens for the environmental equity investigation differs from other equity initiatives that I know this commission is concerned about, that focus on factors like disability, age, or gender identity. Because the equity lens that we talk about for environmental equity is place-based. It's geographic. It's the lived experiences of people, of residents in their own neighborhoods. So it's, by definition, it's a different kind of equity because it's on a map, you can map it.
I was born and raised here. I'll be 83 in May. And, hey, still here. And so I grew up over on Leland Avenue in that area that my grandparents bought the house in 1948. So there was mud and all that. I was about 2 years old, 3 years old, and we played over there. And that section of town was what was called on a map. If you go to Shorefront Legacy and look at any of their documents, you'll see it'll say bad. So we didn't get the things in our neighborhood that other neighborhoods received. Even things like trees. Since I got into this kind of work, the tree is so important. If we only knew, just read up what trees do for you. And one thing, the oxygen in your area is better. It's cooler, which means maybe I won't fall out from a stroke because I'm overheated. All of these things are part of equity and things that happen to us in our community here that we didn't get the same of. And to this day, I think we still are affected by what happened way back then. I have trees. When my tree died out in front, which was big, and when I started getting sick and ended up in a wheelchair like this, I would look outside and it was wonderful. But my tree died. It was cut down, and Brett talked about that. It was cut down, which means I had to go on a list and wait my turn to get another tree. Well, the zoning laws that Evanston, not this council, but prescribed many years ago, that means that the area between the street and my front part of my yard is smaller. Therefore, not any kind of tree can just be planted because the roots come underneath, which has happened over on Leland, and the sidewalk comes up. Now we have to pay for the new sidewalk completely. Or you're going to go on a list and you may wait years, or you can go on another list if you knew that and you pay $250, then you could get your tree.
This is why zoning is so important. Zoning really matters, and people will say in the city, well, we can't help it. That's the way these neighborhoods were zoned. Well, I think we can become more creative than just no. The geographic focus areas that Brett presented in her report represent the census tracts with the greatest overlapping concentration of socioeconomic traits, where home values are lowest, where non-white residents are concentrated, and where life expectancy is lowest. That's through the Evanston's E-Plan report that shows the disparity in the life expectancy in the Fifth Ward is profound. These traits are tied to disproportionate exposures to environmental toxics, adverse public health conditions, and the systemic impacts of racist public policies, including zoning and provision of public services. So these are the areas, the next slide, these are the areas that Brett mentioned in her report. Do you want to cover this? These are
The EE created a framework for environmental equity based on 4 areas, as she explained. Maybe I'll skip over that because it is open space, parks, and trees is what they looked at. And we don't have the very same things in all parts of the city. That's the point. My street I'm talking about, it's a 17 and an 1800 block street, okay? We got a sidewalk now in the 1800 block, which runs from Lyons to Emerson Street a year ago. Do you hear me? 1948 was when houses started to be built on that street. We got a sidewalk on the west side of the street a year ago. That's what we're talking about. And a lot of people, of course, don't know these things. And that's part of what we're trying to do, is educate and get enough of us, especially brown and black people, because they always think it's only happening to us. It's happening all over, but we need more people that show up like us and live like us. We all live differently. I'm going to have a different income, therefore I can't do the very same things that maybe you can do. Well, we don't know these things, and so we need to be at the table. Enough of us in Evanston are not at the table. And I've been out here 50 years trying to talk. I'm saying we have to get out. That's why coalitions, I think, is the answer. Different groups, if we have enough in common on one area, that's all we need. We can begin from there. And our numbers will rise, and as we rise and rise to the power will listen. The power will not listen with 2 or 3 of us complaining. It'll just Janet and Jerry.
We'll be here. So, you know, open space, parks and trees, housing and development. Housing and development is so important. And I really learned this in the years that I've been involved with working with Janet and with others, that poor housing conditions compromise health. They compromise physical health, mental health, and social well-being. And when we have inadequate, unhealthy homes, affordable housing doesn't mean dirty housing. It doesn't mean unsafe or unhealthy housing. It means housing that you can thrive in. And the affordable housing also has huge generational impacts. So streets and transportation, community services, I think Brett covered those as well. That's the next slide. When we, the streets and transportation is huge because it's access to, being able to get around. If you have to smell diesel trucks and you're exposed to air pollution from diesel truck traffic up and down Church Street to the Waste Transfer Station or along Emerson, that if you look at the truck routes, that's where black and brown people live. It's very clear that traffic, noise, air pollution, the lack of safe sidewalks, bike lanes, and access to public transit, we need attention to these areas. In community services, a lot of the listening sessions that Janet and I conducted over the years, we heard from people talking about, well, they love living in Evanston, but their trash gets scattered all over. They get illegal dumping behind their house, and no one seems to be picking it up. They don't feel they're getting the same kind of services that other parts of Evanston get. So the environmental equity investigation is really a call to action. Each of the themes that are addressed in the report are opportunities to collaborate with this commission, the Equity and Empowerment Commission, and in particular, to take on that responsibility of the public engagement policy and making sure that we are hearing from voices, not just hearing from them, but also responding. When decisions are made, how that input was considered, what people said, how that either changed or didn't change the outcome, but the city has some responsibility for providing feedback and responsiveness to what they heard the community say. Most of the actions in the action matrix involve the city of Evanston in a leadership role. So we really encourage you to take the reins and take advantage of your unique authority to address the inequities that are present in this investigation and to track progress. We understand that there is still a vacancy, is that correct, for the equity manager position? I'm not sure what the title of the position is, but when Liam Byrd had that position. We really need someone to take the reins of this equity investigation and be responsible for tracking progress. So, thank you.
Let me final just one comment. Growing up in Evanston, you know, we smell the smell, and you've probably heard about it, that it smelled. Now, the waste transfer station, which is on Church and Darrell's, been there. It doesn't smell as bad as it used to, but when I grew up here, didn't understand that there was a garbage dump in the middle of a black neighborhood, okay? Now, the way I'm going to hopefully make you have an idea of what it smells like is if you drive down McCormick to Howard, and you're on your way over there to the Jewel, and sometimes you smell something way before you even get to Howard Street, right? That's the way it smelled a lot, most of the time when I grew up here. There should not be a transfer station, which now what they do is a truck comes in, they go into that lot, they transfer that garbage to another truck, and then that truck takes it someplace else. I hear there's 40 trucks that go down Church Street every day. So there's a lot of this, and I just thank you so much for listening tonight, and I hope that we can find ways that we can work together. I know we can do it together. That I know.
Yes, we can.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Actually, before you all choose to take your seats, I was like, let me catch them before they start moving. So one of the things that in your presentation that it won't say it struck a chord with me, but definitely is something that I am curious since you all have been working on this. You said that this was adopted by City Council in 2020, in September of 2020. The resolution was adopted. Okay. And so with that being said, what progress, if any, have you seen? I understand it has been slow, but has there been anything that has happened over the last 5 years? And I understand COVID, probably sidetracked a lot of that because of the fact that there wasn't a lot of implementation that could be done during that time frame. However, have you all seen, let's just say, starting from January of 2022, because that's when we slowly but surely started to roll out of COVID and things were starting to get back to normal. So if we were to start from January 1 of 2022 to current, have you seen any progress or any type of implementation or movement in what this resolution was about?
The progress, the resolution just was completed at the end of 2025.
Okay.
Okay, so that was one whole year. It took us years to get the city to pay for the consultants to even do the work. So what has happened? We've been on the city, coming to meetings, talking, and trying to say, we really need to, get a consultant for this. We're a small group, 7 to 8 people, we average, and we're out here. We've been doing a lot since then, but no, the whole point of it all happened in 2020 when they said they would, but we've had to stay after the city in order for them to finally hire someone to help.
Okay, so basically, the action has been within this last year of getting this consultant firm to do this work to show where the disparities are. And
Right.
so it's now us getting this information into City Council to basically start to take this EEI and the work that you all are doing and implement.
That's correct.
Okay.
Just to be clear, though, there were 3 responsibilities laid out in the resolution.
Okay.
One was to develop an EJ ordinance, something with teeth. This investigation has some great actions, none of which even have the form of a resolution. There is no commitment. It's accepted, adopted for the file. I don't even really know what that means.
Gotcha.
But we need that next step. We envision an ordinance, and the resolution said an ordinance within 1 year. That was in 2020.
Okay.
The second thing was a mapping project, an interactive mapping tool, which would take all the data, like from the E-Plan report and other data, and overlay it in a way that's public-facing so that individuals can see where they live and how what they're experiencing differs from other areas of Evanston. Now, the cities did start to create an EJ map. It is so hard to manipulate. It's so non-user friendly. We found it didn't meet the description that was in the resolution. It needs a lot more work. we think that it can be done, but no one's working on it. The third thing was this public engagement policy that would say, not only will we listen to you, or we'll have a public meeting, and the direction of comment will go one way, we will also consider your comments. We will also tell you how we considered your comments when decisions were made. That has never been finalized. The sustainability team under Kara Pratt developed a draft, and it's very good. It was presented actually to this commission in 2023, and we think it has a lot of merit. It is dense, it is complex, and it probably needs to have further discussion with the public, but it's a start. So yes, things have happened. The biggest thing that's happened, of course, Janet's right, is the investigation. So, yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was intense and informative. I really appreciate you guys coming here and informing us of this. And you're right, a coalition is needed. Together we stand, divided we fall, the more the merrier. So I do believe in partnering with other equity groups, and we are on our way. And that's what this commission is about, eradicating those injustices and inequities that's happening in our community, especially in our most vulnerable communities. So it was, we did have a meeting last month, and we talked about just focusing on a couple things and champion that, working during the meetings and off the meetings, so that we can bring something to city council so that we can use that equity scorecard. I think it's been in progress for 5 years or so, but we did condense it and make it user-friendly. We do have a survey out there to look at the scorecard. Not getting a lot of traction on it, but you got 8, we got 6. So, but we still can do it. I still believe in it. And that's what it takes. You've been doing this for 50 years, you believe? I believe. So I believe that working together and partnering on this is something that we had discussed last month as well. And so rather than allowing this to remain a standalone presentation, I would like for us to consider a structural environment, equity, justice, and environment working track over the next few months. So I can talk to the commission first, and talk to you guys offline about what that looks like, but over the next few months, just working together, and then coming back to us, and we're talking about what we have accomplished, and using the equity scorecard so that we can have, because you guys have got the investigation, and all the work is done, but those 3, I wrote that down, those 3 resolutions that's needed, those are things that we can work on as well, and we can bring that, we can gauge it with the scorecard and see the inequities or equities that's in it, and bring that to city council just as a listening session instead of a ask, just to let them know this is what we're working on, we have partnered together, and these are the resolutions that we want to adopt into ordinance. So that's something that can be considered. So the purpose would be those things, and I'd like to ask the commissioners if there is interest in moving in that direction, and they can, we can talk about it and see if that's interest, but I would definitely get back in touch with you so that we can move forward on this. So I really appreciate, so all the questions that I asked Brett, it's the same for you guys, and thank you so much for your presentation. I appreciate it.
So now we're going to the next thing, Mason Park. Do you know
Okay,
about that, right?
huh?
The changes from Mason Park and the Dodge and Church area changing?
It's an example of what we're talking about
That's what we're
here.
talking about.
The community out
That's-
there, natural area, and the
If you
trees.
don't show up and say something, then they just do what they want to do, right?
Yeah. Yep. And it's so hard to hear everything,
It's hard. It's
Yeah.
hard to keep up. You got kids, you got to work, you got all that. So who wants to go out at night? You know, all come together, that's a lot more people.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm with you. Thank you so much, Jerry and Janet. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Okay, so we do have a quorum, so, let me go back. So we're gonna recall the meeting into order because now we have a quorum in minutes, yeah, so. Yeah, I can go that way. Okay, thanks so much. So yeah, we're gonna, call the meeting into order. We do have a quorum. Let me see, what time you got? Okay, so it's 6:59, for the Equity Empowerment meeting, Thursday, February 19th. Yeah, motion to approve the minutes?
I can motion to approve the minutes for January, what day was that?
15th.
January 15th.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, so the meeting, the approval of minutes, all in favor, I'm sorry.
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed or abstain? So the approval of minutes for January 15th have been approved.
Okay, we can go back.
All right, so looking at the agenda, let's move down to C, Section C, update on the outreach for EEC scorecard survey. Do we have any updates?
We actually have responses.
We have any updates?
If you look all the way on the back, it's responses from the scorecard.
So we do have some responses. You want to go over?
You want me to read mine?
Yes, please.
So for the first question, do you think the equity scorecard should be used at all when the city makes important decisions regarding new project development, policies, or I cannot say that word for today. Ordinance, drafting, housing development, changing to land use and zoning, budget allocations, public subsidies, tax abatements, strategic planning, and community engagement process design. 71.43% of people said yes. That was 5 responses. 2 responses said no, and 0 was not sure. So it was 7 responses in total. Yes. Okay, so question 2, of the following policy areas, are there anywhere you think the equity scorecard should not be used? Please select all that apply. We have 1 response for. This doesn't show me everything.
So this is just an overview of the 8 that responded. So I
Right.
think it's not really representative of Evans, the population. So I think the EEC needs to discuss how you guys are going to get more responses. There's like lots of events that are happening in Evanston. I would recommend that you all, visit those events and get responses to the scorecard.
Thank you. That's an excellent idea. Thank you so much, Commissioner Radcliffe, for reviewing some of those responses. So we do have 8 responses. Did you say 7 or 8?
I see.
Okay, so we have 7, but as Tashik stated, us going out to the community, having that QR code, being able to introduce ourselves and let them know that we exist, this board, and getting more surveys and results from our surveys will give us a wider picture to know how most of our residents feel about the equity scorecard.
Did this scorecard just go out on with the Evanston newsletter?
It went out when we first developed the survey. It went out in the newsletter. It hasn't been put back in the newsletter since then. I could put it back in the newsletter, but it was put in the newsletter. And those are the responses that we got.
How
So
many times does the newsletter come out?
it comes out every Thursday, but there are different topics that get included in the newsletter.
So we have to see if we can, how often we can get it in the newsletter, and also just going to these different events will give us more exposure as well.
Pay for an ad in the newspaper for it to like run. You can.
Ain't that expensive?
It is,
Oh yeah, because I'm broke.
but
Sorry.
No, the commission does.
No.
Okay, so, but we have to come up with some creative ways to be able to get this survey out, because we did this last year sometime, and I still believe in us. We just have to put a little bit more work in it, and not just once a month, but just, during the weekdays too, and just get out here and get our survey out here and go to some of these council meetings, and that's another way we can get our surveys answered. Just because Tashik sent the QR, but I had a death in the family, so I couldn't go to that meeting. But that was an opportunity for me, and I really missed it.
you could always, the city council members, they hold their ward meetings every month. So you all can request that they send out their own newsletters as well. You guys could request that they include it in their newsletter. You can attend, have them put you all on their agenda. Those are things that you all can do. It's just putting in the time.
Yes, that's what we need to do. So maybe we can split that work up and we can talk about it offline. But thank you so much for that update on the outreach of the EEC scorecard survey. Also, moving down is D, nomination and vote on Chair of Equity and Empowerment Commission. I kind of want to table that for a minute and move to, can I table that?
So I was not here in January, but annually the EEC must vote on a chair.
Yeah. We're going to do it tonight, but I just wanted to get to a couple other things, because that's not, okay, so we'll just stay on track, okay? All right, nomination and vote on Chair of the Equity Empowerment Commission. We did skip January, or table, this for on January the 15th meeting, because we wanted other commissioners to have the opportunity to see if that's something that they want to do, and not just, go along to get along, but to see how they felt about the responsibility or the position as well. And that's why we tabled it last month. There you go.
I nominate that Josephine Bosick stay within the chair position for the Equity and Empowerment Commission for the 26-27 year.
Okay, is this where I supposed to accept it?
So
All in favor?
Clearly as a co-chair, I will step in as in absentia, given the fact that you are the nominating or you are the person that has been nominated. So it's been moved and properly seconded that Josephine Bostic stay in the Equity and Empowerment Commission Chair for the 26-27 year. Can I get a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. Congratulations, Chair Bostic.
Thank you. Okie dokie. So moving forward, thank you guys for the nomination and confidence that you have in me. And it takes a village, and this is my team and my family and my village. So thank you so much for us all chairing and co-chairing this commission. Thank you so much. Moving forward, this was something that Tashik brought up in our agenda setting, request to participate in reparations repair expo. So the discussion is that, I forgot, I wanted, huh?
Just table and get that exposure for the EEC. You guys can have the survey there.
Yeah, but who's gonna be there because I have to work that day, and Co-Chair Jones is going to be out of town. I'm just gonna say out of town.
So I just want to say, I know nothing of what we're talking about right now.
Go to section E on your agenda.
I understand that part, I just don't.
So we're gonna participate in an expo. It's just like a bunch of people with their tables in the room, and then, Evanston and Chicago people, they come and they go through different tables. You give information, this Saturday.
Oh.
So, if we could participate in that, I can get there. I'll let my class out early, but it starts at what time? 10?
9:30.
9:30.
Where?
It's at the school.
Oh, ETHS? Mm-hmm. Okay.
But if one of us commissioners, one of us, agree to at least start it, I can get there at least by 11:30.
Will our table already be set up?
Yep, I'll have the table for you.
Somebody want to bring me coffee? Okay, I'll be there.
I'm sorry, can you say when the date and time was again?
It's Saturday, February 21st at 9:30. I can be there.
So that's what we need, to have more exposure. We'll have, our, survey, our QR code, and we can talk about our survey. We could talk about our commission and our purpose. And we never had this done since I've been on the commission, us participating in these expos. But I go to them though. So you commit.
Yeah, yeah. 9:30
Any
in the morning.
other takers, you? Commission?
I can go from
Shannon?
9:30 to 10:30, would that be okay?
Yeah.
Okay, because at least we'll have two
Yeah.
commissioners at the table, and then I can get there at 11:30. I'll just let my class out early, but it's on the south side, so, and then I'll get there 11:30.
We ask that you come at 8:30, just set up. You could come at 9. I'll have the table set up for you all.
Thank you.
Okay, so we do have two commissioners that's going to, Commissioner Radcliffe and Commissioner Saxton is going to be at the expo, so yay. Thank you so much. Moving forward, recruitment of new EEC members. So what I have is the mayor, she did put her application in. I did send it to Mayor Biss. No response from him. She did reach back out to me today to see what the process is. I still haven't gotten any word from Mayor Biss about this nominee or appointee. But I will meet with her as well, and I already had one meeting with her last year, and I'll do another meeting. And I also have a meeting with Luke Stoll as well on the end of this month, just to let him know what our initiatives are and what we're doing in the community for this year. But we don't have any other applicants. So if anyone knows anyone that is willing to be dedicated to the EEC and put in the work, I would appreciate that information. Any other commissioners have updates on this?
No, I mean, there's a few folks that I thought about. However, they do not live within Evanston or even in the Skokie area proper. So, if this is supposed to be about the city of Evanston, I'm making the assumption that we are supposed to live within the city of Evanston unless it is some type of, executive decision made by Mayor Biss. So the two people that I thought would be perfect for this don't live here. So I was just like,
What about if they work here?
It would be something for Mayor Biss. I'm not going to dictate that, and so Tashik is shaking her head like that is a no.
Okay, so the search continues. So let's go to G, approval of EEC 2026 meeting calendar. Staff recommends approval for the 2026 EEC meeting calendar. So the action would be the meeting. Did you guys see the meeting I thought I saw it on this packet here. You see it? Okay. Oh, wow, let me look at yours with you. I don't know what I did with my last page, but, okay.
actually page 177.
Yeah,
Oh,
like very, very last page.
Yeah, the calendar, it keeps your meeting times the same, the third Thursday of the month at 6 o'clock.
So the one thing that I actually had spoke about a few months ago, and I want to bring it up at this is something that needs to be tabled when we have Commissioner Harris here. But I also believe that as I'm looking at this calendar that has been presented, we know that it is hard to get commissioners here in the summer due to travel schedules, vacations, everything that's going on. So I propose that at least in one of the 2 months of either June or July, we break. And then in that other month, we would come back and do some type of retreat so we can regroup, so we can then start the year off. I personally do not have a date or which month would be better or worse. And I just, I'm putting it out there for conversation amongst the group for discussion. And I can already tell you the one that's in August, I have a feeling that two of us, because we have August birthdays, will probably not be around, but I'm just trying to put it out there so people feel as if that they actually have some downtime and a reprieve, that then we can actually start back fresh. So conversation for the group, I can go either way, but I'm just wanting to bring it up and put it out there for the body.
Yes, and that is something we discussed last year, and I agree that it was hard last year with the vacations and this and that, and then just keep coming. And we need a break, and we also do need a retreat, and that was something that we had with the previous chair, and it was really great. So I agree with that, and we can table this until we have Harris. Well, Okay, well, I agree, but as far as the June or July,
Or July and August.
or July and August,
I would
No,
say
it's just the meeting date
would-
would just be canceled. The meeting would just be canceled. So that's it.
So, yeah, what I'm saying is, what I was basically saying is, which meeting to cancel, because we don't know, like, again, of a collective. We can decide here, which is the reason why I said discussion for the body, because we do have quorum if we needed to say that we were going to cancel a meeting, and then we would just have to pick when would that retreat be. So if we're going to cancel June, are we going to do the retreat in July, or are we going to table the retreat until August? You know, different things like that. I prefer that we don't do it in August. That's just me. But it's not about me. It's about the, you know, the collective. And so I'm putting it out there as conversation for us to actually talk through this before making a rush decision.
So I kind of feel like we're sitting at like a space where June and July does make sense because they are summer months. But like you said, 2 of us are gone in August. Now I'm for sure gone in August. I don't know. I'm gone. So I feel like if we're gonna cancel a meeting, it should be in August where we know we really won't have quorum right now. And even I feel like we're speaking too early now because we don't even, I mean, we're still looking at other. No, well, can I just finish? Because I mean, we're still looking at other applicants, so we won't even know if we really do have quorum on those months. So, I mean, but if we're gonna cancel a meeting, I think it definitely should be in August. Come back in September.
Co-Chair Jones, I didn't understand when you said I don't want it to be in August. I wasn't following you.
Commissioner Ratcliffe just said it. 2 of us will be gone in
Okay,
August.
okay.
Just due to personal reasons, I already know that there are things that are planned for me already that I'm paying on for the month of August. So I will not be here.
I don't have a schedule, so I'm open to whatever missed meeting, council meeting that we're going to have. And then the retreat will be in September, if we're talking about a retreat. So that will be a council meeting in August, and then we have a retreat in September. From your suggestion that you suggested.
Yeah, there's a few things that's going through my mind right now, but okay. I still have a feeling, I still have a feeling, and this is just a thought that I'm gonna put out there. I still have a feeling that in one of those 2 months in June and July, we probably will still not have quorum. Because again, a lot of family vacations due to other people's work schedules are probably going to come up with 4th of July and different things like that. So I'm just putting it out there to the body and to the group that we just need to be considerate and careful when it comes to the summer months because of because of travel schedules and different things like that. Again, I'm not the only voice.
Yeah, and another,
I think
go ahead, I'm sorry.
I see that there is a consensus on August, it looks like. So you guys could go ahead and cancel August.
I'm gonna be here in August. However, I probably am not gonna be here mid-July because that's probably when we're gonna be on vacation.
So another thing I was going to suggest is we can do the retreat before our council meeting, and that way we can still do a retreat. Maybe you can make it to the retreat even if you don't make it to the meeting. That's something to consider. I don't know unless you're going to be gone the whole month of July. So,
Are you speaking to?
yes, to the group. Yeah, to the group.
What I would say is if we choose to do a retreat, we need to look at a different day of the week. Sometimes it seems like Thursdays are not working the best for us. I know most people do not like giving up their weekends, but if we did like a half-day retreat or something like that on a Saturday, maybe that would bode well for more people because it gives more flexibility versus trying to do something after work. And I don't know how long, like I said, the retreats are. Again, not speaking for the body, I'm just speaking of looking at time commitments and people's availability.
So I can say if we do something on the weekend, I work every other weekend, so it would just have to be on the weekend that I am off.
Okay, so we can move forward with the schedule as far as the August. Hopefully, we have, our body will be full by then, and that'll be great. So we still will make quorum.
What's the motion?
I would like for us to have our schedule for August is a council meeting. As far as the retreat, that's something we can table and talk about it later, which month and what. But as far as the council meeting, we can say August would be the date. So can I get a motion for that?
Okay, so I motion to cancel August 20th meeting and table the conversation for the retreat in September.
Second.
All in favor of canceling August meeting, August the 20th, 2026 meeting and tabling the retreat?
Aye.
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 All opposed or abstain? So the August 20th meeting, 2026 has been canceled, and the retreat is tabled.
It wasn't on the agenda, so
Yeah, it wasn't on the agenda, but yeah, the retreat wasn't on the agenda, so that's just off. So the August 20th meeting, 2026 has been canceled on our schedule.
you could set a date for the retreat to be in September. Yeah, that's a motion. Yeah.
Can I get a motion to set a date for the retreat in September?
You could motion yourself.
I can.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I don't know if we want to do it in September, though. I'm not sure.
I mean, if we said we're gonna come back from
Yeah, from break.
August to do it in September, I feel like that's cool. But can we table the conversation for next month and not
Oh,
Yes,
table it in
yes.
November?
okay.
Right, okay. So we'll table that.
You can put it on the agenda.
Yeah, put on the agenda for next month.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll put that on the agenda for next month. Thank you, Commissioner Radcliffe. To set a date for the retreat. Thank you, Co-Chair Jones. Okay, so H, let's move forward to H, and then we're almost done. Discussion of equity issues in the community. We'll just go down. I've been out of sync a little bit, so I don't have any equity issues to discuss right now in the community other than what our the presentations were about. Those were something I attended last month, so I don't have anything other than what we already heard tonight. Commissioner Radcliffe?
From what I believe I heard Ms. Janet Alexander Davis say was that they are trying to make, all I heard was brick up, but they are basically trying to remove the park from Mason? Is that what I heard?
Mason Park, they're trying to basically put cement down. I don't know all of the details.
Right. Okay. That is one thing I did hear about, though. I didn't get all the details, but something about removing a park and adding some earthing stuff and yeah.
Okay. Tashik, do you know anything about that?
I do not.
Okay. Co-Chair Jones, any discussion of equity issues in the community?
I will, well, if I can give an update, but what I am seeing in Evanston now is that they are trying to do a Mason Park expansion that could break ground in sometime in 2027. Which means that, again, this expansion would include bikes and pedestrian improvements at Mason Park and the infrastructure improvements on the intersection of Church and Dodge, which will renovate the existing park and add new nature trail along the former rail corridor and a new plaza on Davis Street and increase bike lanes. This is, again, like I said, coming from Evanston Now. They said the general design was finalized over a year ago, although the project hasn't gotten off the ground quite yet. They're doing consultant work, and I think that's what they were basically going to either fight against or for, not for sure. Yeah. Says Senior Project Manager Stephanie Levine of City of Evanston said the total cost in the project still is unclear, but have noted if the city does not have funding for this project at this time. They said that the funding may come from the West Evanston TIF fund, which could be allocated for significant portions of the park expansion. So.
Thank you.
So there, again, I'm not reading the whole, the entirety of this article, but there is more information in the article. If you would like to look at Evanston Now and just put in Mason Park expansion, and you should find it.
Thank you. Commissioner Shana, you have any updates on equity issues in the community?
I don't. I know one thing that's being discussed in the 7th Ward is the possible uses of Ryan Field, and that there might be, I believe, some professional soccer being played there. So I know that's one issue that a lot of people are debating about at the moment.
Debating in a good or a bad way? Or just discussion?
I think there's just a lot of differing opinions about it.
Okay.
I know Councilmember Davis has sent out a communication about it, about what her thoughts are about that.
Okay, thank you so much. Any other thoughts? Discussions? Okay, so we will, last month we looked at the tracker briefly, and it wasn't anything pending, I think. If you remember, Co-Chair Jones, I think it was one thing we talked about. But we looked at the current things that was on the tracker last month that we needed to address.
To be efficient, what we can do is go through the topics, like the name of the referral request, rather than reading through the summary. Would that
Sounds good.
Okay. So ordinance creating a short-term rental, residential rental intermediary license. Rental residential franchise penalties. So let me know if you guys could read the description. Let me move this over and let me know if you guys are interested in calling this out.
Can you go over to the briefly described? Thank you. Changing food script, what? Since I don't know what the original agreement is, it's kind of hard for me to talk about a new proposed.
Definition of temporary used in zoning ordinance. So it would be helpful if the commissioners review the referrals ahead of time. So you guys could have robust discussion on a
Yeah.
referral.
True, you're right.
I be trying to get onto the tracker for referral tracker, but I can't access the link. When you send it,
Clicked it,
click on it,
and then opened it. When you click on it, it's highlighted, but when I clicked on it, it didn't open, like none.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you gave me access, remember when I sent?
Oh, that's to the packet.
Yeah, yeah.
But this link is on the city website under the referrals committee as well. So would it be useful in this meeting for you guys to go through this, or
I
at the
think,
next
I
meeting
think
go
we'll
through
just
it?
go through it the next meeting. So we'll table it again, and go through it. Now that we all know, we can just go through ourselves, and then any concerns we have, we can say January 28th, was a concern for me, and everybody can bring up their concerns. That's great. Thank you so much for the suggestion.
And I could make sure that I put it in you all's email when I'm sending out the agenda, just in my body of my email to review the referral list, see if there's any equity items that you guys want to discuss at this meeting.
That's perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Okay, so that is the tracker. We'll review next agenda. We can always go on the city council and look at it ourselves, but Tashik is kindly going to put it in with the agenda, so now we'll be able to have that link that we can have and go review. Thank you. That's a great suggestion. Any other communications or reports? Anybody have anything else to add? If not, we can motion for an adjournment.
I move to adjourn at 7:35 p.m.
I second that.
Okay, so all in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, all opposed, all abstain? The meeting is adjourned at 7:35, February 19th, 2026.